Hi, I'm Joanie Spencer, Editor-in-Chief for Commercial Baking, and I'm speaking with Pieter Van Hoecke, Business Development Manager, North America for Spiromatic, and we are discussing process automation from ingredient intake to dough on the line. Hi, Pieter. Thanks so much for joining me.
Hi, Joanie. Thanks for having me.
So the first thing that I want to do is sort of unpack what we mean by process automation. And the reason why I'm curious is because some bakers sort of think about automation in terms of specific pieces of equipment at certain points on the line. But why is it important to think about automation as an entire process and not just individual parts?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. It's very important for bakers to consider the whole process. It's not just component by component. As a baker, you need to first look at what is your output, what are your quality requirements for your ingredient handling. Any investment, it be just a silo or a bulk delivery system or an automatic ingredient handling system, needs to be considered in an overall plan to make sure that whatever investment the baker is doing is not only going to serve him on the short term, but is also going to be able to support him on the long term, even when he wants to expand or add additional equipment to his setup.
Right, right. So then when we think about that process, I think it's important to point out that that doesn't necessarily mean making a full investment in the entire process on day one, right?
Correct, correct. So the whole idea is if you make a master plan first, of your ingredient intake to dough on the line process, you don't need to execute that master plan all at once, but at least you have a complete vision of your ingredient handling system setup before starting to do the first investment. And you may decide to first invest in bulk systems, then micro systems, then liquids, or any of those components at the same time, as long as you have that overall master plan as a vision on the table, because that is going to be driven by the products you're making and also your expected evolution of those products and their volumes in the future. That also helps to make sure that you build in the necessary flexibility in your investments towards making sure that it'll remain efficient over its lifetime.
So it really sounds like by thinking about this as an entire process, that then enables a baker to then make smart decisions about those individual pieces of automation on the line.
Exactly, exactly. So the baker, based on that master plan, will make every single investment in a way that it will be flexible, cost efficient, and serving to the best of the available technology, the process he's looking to automate.
So then how does Spiromatic work with customers to help with that planning? What kinds of things do you do with your customers to sort of help them get one foot in front of the other and think about that overall process?
With Spiromatic, what we do is the first thing before even talking about the equipment that obviously we build and deliver to our customers, we spend a lot of time in running a number of analyses. The analysis we run essentially with our customers consists of three main steps. So the first thing we'll do is we'll look at their formulas, their volumes, which shows us obviously the ingredients, and work with them through different analysis tools we bring to the table to help them in determining the scope of their ingredient handling automation. You could have a baker with 150 ingredients that cannot obviously all be automated. So you want to make sure you select the right ones depending on the investment capabilities of the baker at that time to make sure you choose the ones that bring the return on investment fastest first. Once we've gone through that, we'll collect all the process parameters, temperatures, batch cadences, mixture types, and so forth, to make sure that obviously whatever design we come up with in the third step, that it meets all those requirements. And then the third step is actually developing that master plan, where we typically make a complete system design, including all components that are adapted to the specific process at hand. And those are obviously things as Spiromatic we have years of experience with, where, for example, if it's a temperature sensitive process, will be using, for example, super insulated outdoor silos. Or if there's a high number of microingredients to be automated, we'll use our proprietary technology as part of the design for those microingredients. So it's really a matter of going through that three-step approach and not just think I'm going to buy a piece of equipment. It's actually you're buying an automated process to really get your dough to where you want it.
Right. And, you know, it's just so fascinating to hear that there's so much to think about before you even get to the master planning stage. So with so much to consider from dosing all the way to dough on the line, what are, just sort of in a nutshell, some of those most important factors that bakers need to consider before investing in an integrated solution? I mean, there's the dosing accuracy, the number of ingredients, like you said, temperature, food safety. What are some of those like top line things that they need to consider?
Yeah, there's obviously a large amount of things to consider. So I'll just go through, you know, some of the most important ones. But a couple of things that are really essential, of course, are the required properties of the resulting dough, right? What is the whole product process ingredient intake to dough on the line? What are the parameters of that resulting dough, of the resulting product, and temperature, resting times, fermentation, if applicable. Also understanding the dosing accuracy, because you can with certain dosing accuracies, you can get to a certain dough result. Other processes will require a much higher accuracy because there's more sensitivities to certain ingredients in that specific dough. But that really depends on, are we talking about bread, buns, cookies? So this is really product specific. So working through that with the baker is essential. The number of ingredients. Are we talking about relatively simple recipes or recipes with a large number of ingredients? The level of traceability of the ingredients through the system that are required, also very important. Any requirements that are driven by SQF or BRC audit requirements could also be, are also things we should be considering. Cross-contamination, also an example. I mean, I could go on and on. So there's a very long list of parameters that you need to take into account, and taking the time to first do that analysis has such a fundamental impact on the outcome of the system design. And that's why we really spend a lot of time in the initial stages of every project to really spend the time with the baker to go through all of those parameters.
So Pieter, my last question is really, with all of this to consider and everything that Spiromatic has to offer in helping plan for process automation, what's the easiest first step for a baker to get in touch and learn how to get started?
Well, I mean, the easiest way to get in touch with us is online, of course, at spiromatic.com or info@spiromatic.com if you want to email us. And you know, we'll gladly take your call or gladly respond to your email and get the conversation going. Understand what the baker is trying to do, and then go in detail through the approach that we need to take.
Well, Pieter, thanks so much for taking time to talk to me today. This was such an interesting conversation. I loved learning about all there is to think about in process automation and what Spiromatic has to offer to help create a very efficient operation. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Joanie. It was great being here.